The NHL is a hard league to win in. As the Oilers have shown, you can have the best player or two best players in the entire league and still not win a championship. You need a lot of skill, but you also need a lot of luck. The Oilers this past season lost to the eventual champion Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games, giving them their best series throughout their championship run. I do believe that the Oilers have had a chance to win this series, and it could have honestly gone either way because there's just a couple pucks that went Vegas's way, a couple calls that went Vegas's way, a couple 50-50 calls, a couple 50-50 pucks and opportunities that could have been gone the Oilers' way, and they could have won that series. One of those proverbial bounces for the Golden Knights that went their way is that their third or fourth string goalie lit up the Oilers in Adin Hill. Adin Hill played phenomenally after he came in relief of their starting goalie halfway through the series, and he played so well throughout not only the Edmonton series but the next two series as well, and he really propelled Vegas to a Stanley Cup victory. 9 times out of 10, the Oilers will figure out Hill in that series and who's coming fresh off the bench, and they win that series, or at least they can score a lot more goals and make it a lot more close. And I do believe that if the Oilers won their series against Vegas, they would have beaten Dallas because I just think that they're just a much better team than Dallas is, and I think that they definitely could have easily beaten them in 5 or 6 games. And then if they go on to play Florida in the Stanley Cup final, I think having home ice advantage would have really played into their favor, and I think they could have easily won a Stanley Cup if they got past Vegas. Of course, like I said before, bounces go both ways, and sometimes you got to be lucky to be good. But I do think that if they got past Vegas, they could have easily won a Stanley Cup, and they were right there with Vegas, right there neck and neck, and they had a chance to, in game 5, they had a chance to. Game 6, they had a chance to send the series for Game 7 back in Vegas, but they just couldn't quite do it. And I think if Adin Hill hadn't been quite as sharp, or if Stuart Skinner had just made a couple more saves in a couple more key situations, they could have easily taken it to 7 and won against Vegas. So they played Vegas really well, and I think that they can bounce back next year and get it done. I say all of this to prove the point that Oilers fans do not need to panic, and neither does the front office. It seems as if every time that a team is supposed to make a deep playoff run and they don't do that, lose in the first or second round, the front office tends to blow the team up. Look at Toronto; they made it to the second round for the first time in what feels like forever, and they go and fire their GM, right? And I don't think that the Oilers need to panic because there's a lot of things that go into winning a Stanley Cup. Stuart Skinner was a rookie this past year, and he was supposed to be their number 1 goalie in the playoffs, and he just kind of let them down. But obviously the loss is not all on Stuart Skinner, but I do think that he'll bounce back next year and play a lot better now that he has playoff experience, and Jack Campbell shouldn't have as terrible of a year as he did last year. In the playoffs, Jack Campbell actually looked really good, and that gives me optimism for the Oilers goaltending core going forwards. I think that they could easily have a top 5 goaltending duo in Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner. Based on the past couple seasons, Jack Campbell had a really good 2021-22 with the Leafs, and then signed a big contract with the Oilers and didn't play as well this year, but he showed glimpses of his former self. And Stuart Skinner played really well in the regular season, and I think that can carry over to next year and possibly the playoffs next year as well. So I do think that they have a really good shot to go back to the playoffs and make a deep run in this coming up season. Obviously, they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl as well, and that obviously makes every team better. But the thing that really impressed me this season about them was their depth scoring, and they had a lot more of that. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had 100 points, and yes, you can say that he got a lot of that on the power play, but someone has to cash in, right? Before, the narrative was, oh yeah, you put McDavid out there with anyone, they're going to get a lot of points. But other than Draisaitl, no one really got that many points. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins actually had to capitalize on his chances to get that 100 points. Zach Hyman had a career year. Darnell Nurse, once he was moved down to the second pairing, when Matthias Ekholm was brought in, he played better than I have ever seen him play before. Obviously, Ekholm is the defensive master that they need going forward in the playoffs. He's a shutdown defender, and in their last few games of the regular season, I think they won about 9-1 in those last 10 games of the regular season, and then Matthias Ekholm was just that stabilizing force for them in the playoffs and in the last few games of the regular season on the back end. So I am really optimistic for the Oilers. I think that Of course, you can make a couple of changes around the bottom 6 forwards and the bottom 4 defensemen, but I think that they need to just be patient, give their team another year, give this whole core another year, and give Mattias Ekholm one more full season and off season and training camp to really fit in with the team and just gel and get a lot more chemistry going. So I believe if they do that, they are definitely Stanley Cup contenders and favorites for next year, especially with Boston losing in the first round this past year, and also it looks like they might lose Patrice Bergeron and some of their core pieces. So if Edmonton keeps their core the same as they had this last year, I do believe that they have a very good chance to win a Stanley Cup. Anyways, God bless you all. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have an amazing day, and make sure to like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel.